Okay. This is right after the Arch-Tempered Nergigante fight I just did. We're going to take a look at all of the Arch-Tempered Dragon Armors, get a quick opinion on all of them, and I'm going to give my thoughts at the end on the Arch-Tempered system as a whole and how it held up and how it kind of kept... Well, we'll get to it. So Vaal Hazak Gamma gives us 5 levels in Dragon Attack, 3 in Recovery Up, 3 in Recovery Speed, and 2 in Peak Performance. Then the set bonus is Super Recovery. So Dragon Attack level 5 gives us bonus 100 dragon damage and an additional 10% dragon damage on top of that. Now, as strong as I think these elemental attack skills are, you can only increase your elemental damage up to a cap. So I believe it's 30% of the elemental value on your weapon can be increased. Let's see if we can test that real quick. So let's get a dragon. There we go. So this has 210 dragon attack. And let's preview this. And it only brings our dragon attack up to 270. So I think it's a little bit less than 30%. So that's the strange thing about these elemental attack. Hold on. It's really distracting me. Okay, good. Proper sword's back on. That's the weird thing about these elemental attack skills, in that, in retrospect, they should be extremely powerful skills, but because of the limitations of your weapons, usually they're just wasted. Like, if you're using the Devil Joe longsword, for instance, like the one I just showed, you can only really utilize Dragon Attack up to level 2. Now, of course, we're reviewing these sets as a whole, so if you're just going to take a piece of it, then you can get those 2 levels of Dragon Attack and it'll work. But all in all, it's just kind of a throwaway to have this much elemental attack into a build. Recovery Up increases the amount of health restored when recovering from restoring health. So, okay. I always get these 2 mixed up, my bad. So this increases the amount of health you get from recovery items. That's just the way it is. Your Mega Potion will heal for 30% more. Your Potion will heal for 30% more. Your Sushi Fist. That's the way it works. Most people don't use this in their builds, but if you have it in your build, it does make a very noticeable difference. You'll notice it if you get the food skill Feline Medic, because that's essentially what Feline Medic does. It's a recovery up skill. Recovery Speed. We know how that works. The red health that you get that regens over time, this will increase how fast it regens. And then Peak Performance gets you an attack boost when your health is full. Now, a lot of these skills are kind of throwaway skills, but when you put them all together underneath Super Recovery, then it all starts to shine. Vaal Hazak Gamma Armor is really good in one specific niche to me, which is the tanking niche in the Extreme Behemoth fight. If you are running, like, let's say my defense build for Extreme Behemoth for grabbing Affinity is a spread build with a heavy bowgun using shield, but in order to keep myself alive, I'll use Vaal Hazak Gamma Armor, at least 3 pieces of it, with the Recovery Up and the Recovery Speed, so I can regen through his attacks. If the medic isn't doing their job, which more often than not they're not, then this will help keep you alive. So Vaal Hazak Gamma does have a niche, but all in all, as a set for everyday play, I would give it about a 7 out of 10. Might be a little bit generous, but I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Kirin Gamma gives us 5 levels of Thunder Attack, 3 levels of Blight Resistance, 3 levels of Free Element, and 2 levels of Marathon Runner. Again, we are rating all these sets as whole sets. We're not considering them in mixed builds just yet. So, same thing goes for Kirin set as it does for the Vaal Hazak set. Having this much elemental attack is usually a throwaway. There's a lot of weapons out there. Like, the most accessible weapons, I'd say, that have elemental attack on them aren't so high that they can use all 5 levels. Now, the Kulve Taroth weapons, now I think about it, those usually have very ridiculous amounts of elemental attack. And then, on top of that, to bring us to this skill, a lot of free element weapons have a lot of elemental attack. So, if you're using this with a free element weapon, let's say Wyvern Ignition Impact, if you want to use that as a fire greatsword, then having free element and fire attack level 5 would be really good. Blight resistance, I mean, no fire blight, no ice blight, no water blight. That's okay, but fire blight isn't the worst thing ever. You just have to roll 3 times. Ice blight is a little bit annoying, but if you manage your stamina well, then it really won't interrupt your play that much. Water blight's probably the worst, but the only monster in the game that gives it to... my bad. The only monster in the game that gives it to you is Gyarados, and he's irrelevant. So blight resistance isn't really that great. It's kind of helpful in the Xeno'jiva Gamma fight, or sorry, the Arch-Tempered Xeno'jiva fight, because you won't get Fire Blight from the floor, but that doesn't negate the chip damage. So, kind of a throwaway skill. Marathon Runner is good for bow, kind of, if you're holding your shots, which usually you shouldn't be holding your shots for that long, or you'll need Marathon Runner. Constitution's usually better. I'm trying to think. The Lance uses a lot of stamina in its running jab, and when you're holding Power Guard, so Marathon Runner is really good for that. And then Kirin Favor is Capture Master. High chance of increased capture rewards. I've never used this myself. I don't know how big the difference is, but I think for the most part, you don't really need this. So, I don't know. As individual pieces, there are some really good pieces here. The Kirin Jacket Gamma gives you 2 levels of free element, and there's 2 level 1 slots. So if you're trying to do a free element build, that's really good. That's basically the entire skill right there. And, well, the legs, not the legs. No, not the legs. The hoop, though. That gives you 2 levels of Marathon Runner and then 2 level 1 slots. So, like I said, if you need it for like the Lance or something, that's basically all of Marathon Runner right there. But all in all, I would give the Kirin Gamma like a 6 out of 10. It's not the worst build ever. It's not the worst set ever, I should say, but... ugh. Alright, Teostra Gamma. You know, the images they use for Teostra Gamma armor always look so much brighter than the actual armor itself. Such a weird looking set. Anyway. Teostra Gamma gives you 7 levels of Crit Eye, 5 in Latent Power, and 1 in Weakness Exploit. Now, that's only 3 skills, but understanding the importance of these skills... wow. 7 levels of Crit Eye gives you 30% affinity, 5 levels in Latent Power. If you like Latent Power, then this set is excellent, because Latent Power at level 5 gives you 50% affinity, and then 1 level of Weakness Exploit is 15 on a weak spot. So, if you have Latent Power active, with a weapon with base 0 affinity, you have 95 affinity right here, because ideally, you should be hitting a weak spot. That on top of the fact that you get Master's Touch, which everyone knows what Master's Touch does, that's a 95% affinity build. Right here. Also, the slots in this are pretty good. If you have 4 attack jewels, so let's say you put 2 attack jewels in the coil, and then 2 attack jewels in, I'd say, the chest and the legs. 1 in the 1 slot, and then 1 in this 2 slot. You get 4 levels in attack boost, which is 12 attack, and then you get the 5% affinity. So once the whole set's going, once Latent Power is active, you have 100% affinity right there. It's crazy how it's naturally like a 95% affinity build with Master's Touch, all right here. It's a really, really good set. And then, on top of being a good set by itself, a lot of these pieces have usage. Maybe not so much the chest. It's nice to have the Weakness Exploit in the chest spot, but the Latent Power, just the level 2 Latent Power isn't too great. You really need all of Latent Power for it to shine. But I use the Crown in so many of my builds because those 2 level 2 slots are so strong, and then having the 2 crit eye is also extremely strong. I use this in a lot of my builds too. 3 crit eye from 1 armor piece with a level 3 slot. It's just succinct. It's nice. And then, again, just these 3 pieces. This is your level 7 crit eye right here, and it's also your Master's Touch. If you wanted a full crit eye build with Master's Touch and full earplugs, all you need is these 3 pieces, and then Lunastra Chest Gamma and Lunastra Coil Gamma. Is it Coil Gamma? No, it is not Coil Gamma. Which one is it? I think it's a Lunastra piece. Well, we'll have to look back at that. But actually, you don't even need Lunastra Coil Gamma. You could use the Basil Juice Coil. Beta would be probably the best. And you have full earplugs and Master's Touch right there. I think that's really, really nice. I would overall give the Teostra Gamma Armor a... Honestly, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. As a full set, it's extremely powerful. In pieces, specifically these 3 pieces, it's extremely powerful. And the funny thing is, when it first came out, it was kind of underappreciated. I know there's plenty of people out there that'll probably argue that no, it wasn't, but a lot of first impressions is that the set was bad. But that was very, very far from the truth. Alright, Kushala Daora Gamma. You got 4 levels of Handicraft, 3 in Ice Attack, 2 Focus, 2 Evade Window, 1 Evade Extender. I notice I haven't really been doing this much, commenting on the cosmetics themselves. I think Kushala Daora Gamma armor looks awesome. It's silver instead of the kind of rusted look. It just looks so sleek. It's really nice. I think the mail armor looks a bit better. Anyway, so 4 levels Handicraft gives you 40 weapon sharpness. It's kind of hard to imagine what the quantity of sharpness equates to, but with that much, you see over there on the right side, it'll bring my little bit of white sharpness to a lot. Let's remove the set. There, you can see the comparison right there. That much white sharpness would last me... That would last me like 2 areas, let's say, of non-stop fighting with Arch-Temper Nergigante. That's a lot of white sharpness. So getting that much Handicraft in a build is nice. Ice Attack, we talked about my feelings on so much Elemental Attack earlier, except this stops at level 3, which is before you get the percentage bonuses, which I think is what's wasted most of the time. So this actually doesn't overdo it with the Elemental Attack. Only problem is it's Ice. I don't think Ice is all that useful. Ice is good against Lunastra, Ice is good against Teostra when it comes to big endgame enemies. But otherwise, it's kind of underutilized. Focus. Now, Focus is... it's a weird skill. In that... Oh? Hello, cat. Focus is a weird skill in that some people absolutely adore it. Some people absolutely hate it. I know this skill has a big history in other Monster Hunter games, but if we're just going to look at this subjectively, Focus is a very, very good skill. For long swords, it'll help you fill your spirit gauge faster. For a switch axe, you will power up your files faster. Same thing with Charge Blade. And for things like Greatsword, it allows you to charge up your charge slashes a lot faster, which will overall increase your DPS. Now, I know this is kind of controversial among some Greatsword players. There's some Greatsword players that absolutely despise Focus, and some Greatsword players that think if you're not using Focus, you're doing it wrong. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not a Greatsword main. When I play Greatsword, I just play with whatever skills I have at the time. It doesn't matter to me. But if you are one of those people that will live and breathe and die by Focus, this is nice. And the reason it's so nice is because it all comes from one piece of armor. 2 levels of Focus with 3 level 1 slots all come from the Kushala Daora Grips Gamma. Again, if you're one of those Greatsword players, this is a dream come true. Then you got 2 levels of Evade Window. Evade Window, I think, is also another polarizing skill because I think, at least in my experiences, if you don't have earplugs, then you have Evade Window. And that's usually because you can just roll through the roars. It's not... Evade Window is basically what Evasion Mantle gives you, but having level 5 Evade Window is like having Evasion Mantle on all the time, and it can make a really huge difference. I made a joke build. I made a Dark Souls build, a Sword and Shield build with Evade Window, where and Constitution, so I was rolling all over the place, and honestly, monsters really couldn't hit me. Evade Window is a very good skill. And Evade Extender does exactly what it says it does. You roll farther, which actually does make a very big difference as well. These two in conjunction with each other are very good. The only issue here is you're only getting 2 levels of Evade Window, and you're only getting 1 level of Evade Extender. These two don't do much at this point. They have to be maxed out, or at least Evade Extender needs to at least be level 2, and Evade Window needs to at least be level 4 for it to really make a difference. And the big problem here is that this set doesn't have that many level 2 slots, and they're both level 2 gems. It has 1, 2, and then you can count that as a third. It has 3 of them. So if you wanted to max out Evade Window using those jewels, you could, but you'd still be left dry for Evade Extender for the most part. Standalone pieces, most people aren't going to go out of their way to put an armor piece in that has handicraft. They'll just use a handicraft jewel, or a charm, I'd say, or a handicraft jewel for a decoration slot. So a lot of these handicraft pieces, like the coil and the helmet, aren't really that helpful. Ice attack, 3 ice attack and 1 armor is nice if you're going for an elemental build. I'd say the one piece of armor that has the most worth here is the grips with the 2 levels of focus. If you're one of those players that really loves focus, then right here. This is what you need, right here. All in all, I would give the Kushala Daora Gamma a 6 out of 10 as well. It's not really that great in its own, and even in pieces, it's not too excellent. There's only really 1 piece here that's great. You can make an argument that the legs are nice because 2 levels of Evade Window and level 3 slot, but I think, nah, let's move on. Wait. I completely forgot about this. I was about to cut to the next section. Kushala Daora armor has Kushala Daora Flight as its set bonus. It negates all wind pressure. Yeah. That's about it. You're only really going to be using this in Kushala Daora fights. So it's all in all kind of a throwaway set bonus, which is sad. Now we're going to move on. So the new kid in the block. Nergigante Gamma armor. Now, cosmetically, it looks the same as Nergigante. I think it's alpha armor, but it has the black spikes instead of the white spikes. And they also, kind of depending on the angle you look at them, it looks like they're glowing between white and black, which is really nice. I think cosmetically it's pretty. For the skills, you got 4 levels of attack boost, 2 levels of agitator, 2 maximum might, 1 part breaker, and 1 stamina surge. So 4 levels of attack boost give you 12 raw attack and 5% affinity. I personally think this is the sweet spot for attack boost in a build, but that's when you add it to a build. Just having 4 levels of attack boost alone, that's also good because the big selling point for this set is that it has a lot of slots. There's not a single piece that has less than 2 slots in it. So if you wanted to throw 3 levels of attack boost in these, like let's say the coil and the vamp races. If you wanted to put 3 attack jewels in there, you have level 7 attack boost right there, which is nice. Agitator, I think, is kind of an undervalued skill. I think it could be helpful, but I also feel that for the amount of investment you need to put into the skill, it doesn't give you enough of a buff. 20 attack is nice, but only 15% affinity isn't that great. 15% affinity is equivalent to 1 level of weakness exploit. So it's kind of a throwaway skill. I feel like it could have been so much better. 2 levels of Maximum Might. Now, Maximum Might is a really good skill when you use it correctly, I guess I should say. So it gives you affinity when your stamina is full. For the most part, melee weapons don't take stamina when you're attacking, so if you're just standing there wailing away, getting that huge affinity bonus, only level 2 gives you 20%, that's nice. I think both of Maximum Might comes from the same piece in this? Oh no, it doesn't. But I do vaguely remember, I found a build online a long time ago, I think it was before Behemoth was even out, where you used full Maximum Might with an impact mantle and a high damage spread heavy bowgun with a shield. And by doing that, with you used other skills, of course, to help get yourself to 100% crit, but Maximum Might was one of the key skills in that build. Doing that, you could kill Xeno'jiva in about 7 or 8 minutes. I think somebody killed him like 5 or 6, honestly, with that build. It was insane. Maximum Might can be very, very helpful. On top of that, we have Stamina Surge, which increases your stamina recovery speed. There aren't many uses for this. It's good for dual blades. If you run really low from using demon mode, you can get your stamina back very quickly. It's good for people that jump around a lot with bows for the same reason. If you use up all your stamina while using the lance, it has uses, but it's kind of niche. It's not necessary by any stretch of the mind, because you can always just use dash juice, which will outright reduce how much stamina you're using. But in the context of the full set, Stamina Surge will help you keep your stamina full so you can get Maximum Might. So there's a little bit of synergy here. And then Part Breaker does what it does. It's nice to break parts. On some monsters, breaking parts is more necessary than others. I've noticed from playing a lot of GU that breaking parts in World is significantly harder than it is in the older games. So if breaking parts is something you love to do, this is nice, but it's really not a necessary skill. And I'm not going to forget, like last time, let's go over the set bonus. So Nergigante Hunger gives you haste and recovery. It says regenerates your health as you continually attack a monster. Recovery varies by weapon. Now, this is almost the same exact wording as the health augment, but it does not work the same way as the health augment. You don't just straight up get health back from attacking a monster when you have this set bonus. The way it works is you keep attacking a monster, you keep the pressure on over a certain period of time, and then you'll get a sudden chunk of health back. It's about equivalent to a sushi fist scale, about that much. So you attack, 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 chunk heal. Attack, 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 chunk heal. It's not attack, heal, attack, heal. It's not like that. So it's honestly not as helpful as having just a straight up health augment. But when you mix the two, you get a lot of overall quote-unquote lifesteal. So it's okay. As a full set, I don't think Nergigante Gamma is actually that great. In fact, I think the spread of the skills is kind of weak compared to the original Nergigante armor. The biggest selling point is, like I said before, how many slots this armor has. It's pretty ridiculous. The only other armor that kind of compares to it in terms of slottage is Xeno'jiva Gamma, which we will get to. Now, in pieces, this set can be very good. The two pieces I see that really stand out to me are the legs, which give 3 attack boost in 1 chunk. That's a lot. With 2 level 2 slots. It's very, very nice. I think the arms are also very good, because 1 attack boost and 1 part breaker. If you're going a part breaker build, this will help, because you can start getting attack boost in there. But also 3 slots, 1 level 2, 2 level 1s. Then, if you are just lacking slots in a build, you can throw in Nergigante Male Gamma in there. The maximum might clash with your build, but a level 3, 2, and 1 slot, that's a really strong combo of slots right there. So even for the pieces where you may not want them to just be thrown into your set, there's so many slots that you can work with that sometimes you can just throw them in there and take advantage of those decoration slots. And then you have the extra skills from whatever they have on them too. So I will give the Nergigante Gamma armor I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I don't think it's the worst. It's kind of disappointing considering how big of a deal Arch-Tempered Nergigante was supposed to be, but there is definitely usage here. I don't think it should be downplayed at all. Oh boy, this is getting to be a lot longer than I thought it would be. Alright. We got Zorah Magdaros Gamma. Cosmetically, I think Zorah Magdaros, just all the versions of the set, is a very pretty armor. It's a little hard to see the Arch-Tempered effect here, but it's a little bit more shiny. Like, wow. Alright, moving on. You get 4 levels of Crit Eye, 2 in Windproof, 2 Tremor Resistance, 2 Earplugs, Bombardier, 2 Blast Attack. I don't know why that's out of order with what it shows on the right side, but it is. It's a little bit annoying. Anyway, 4 levels of Crit Eye give you 15% affinity. I mean, we all know Crit Eye's usage. The weird thing about Zorah Magdaros armor is it's such a grab bag of skills. It's just weird. If you're using this as a standalone set, you're kind of all over the place. But we'll get more to that. 2 levels of Windproof will only really help you against minor wing flaps from like smaller flying wyverns. It's pretty throwaway. Tremor Resistance can be helpful. I'd say the most relevant place for Tremor Resistance right now is the Xeno'jiva, the Arch-Tempered Xeno'jiva fight. He tremors a lot with his attacks. Almost all of his attacks tremor you. I mean, him just running tremors you, so Tremor Resistance is very important for a fight like that, and 2 levels of Tremor Resistance actually come from the chest from this, which has 3 level 1 slots. So if you're trying to get Tremor Resistance into your build, the chest is very nice. There's 2 levels of Earplugs in this. Again, if you're an earplug fanatic like me, it's very nice. If you're not, then this is throwaway. Bombardier. If you are going for big sleep bomb damage, I mean, this is what you're going to want. And Blast Attack is not, it does not work the same way as elemental attack bonuses do, obviously. This is for status builds, and this is important. It is important to have either Blast Attack or Paralysis Attack, Poison Attack for your status builds. It very much makes a difference, because when your weapon actually hits for status damage, it'll make it build up way faster, and you'll be able to proc it more easily. It'll happen more times in a fight. And the reason why this is important is because the set bonus is critical status, which is such a strong, and I think it's underappreciated skill. On high affinity builds with crit status, you will see constant paralysis, constant poisons. I have a couple crit status builds with the Zorah Magdaros Gamma set. I have a poison build where you can keep a monster that has 1 star to poison. You can keep them poisoned the entire fight. It's pretty ridiculous. Same thing goes for sleep, paralysis, blast. My favorite thing right now is the Kiar Blast Sword. It's the Zorah Magdaros Arch-Tempered Kulve Taroth Longsword. That has critical status built into it, actually, and it's really fun. Using Blast Attack and crit status is very, very fun, because blasts can constantly stagger the monster if they're timed correctly. It's nice. Now, the fact that Zorah Magdaros Gamma armor is such a grab bag makes it so that alone as a set, it's kind of weird and gimmicky. If you're using the set all together, all 5 pieces, then you're going to want a blast weapon so you can synergize Crit Eye, Blast Attack, and crit status. But otherwise, the pieces you're going to want here for mixed sets are the Tremor Resistance from the chest, which is 3 level 1 slots. You're going to want the 2 levels of earplugs from the arms, a level 3 and a level 1 slot. And the other thing you might want is the legs for Blast Attack and Crit Eye if you're going for a crit status build. I think I used this in my Kiar Blast sword. I don't know the name of it right now, but I think I used this in that set. And just like the Nergigante armor and the other armors we're about to go over, this does have a very good spread of slots. Yeah, you get 1 level 2 from the helmet, 3 level 1s from the chest, level 3 and a level 1 from the arms, level 3 and a level 2 from the coil, level 3, level 2. There's a lot of level 3s in this armor set. There's usage for Arch-Tempered Zorah Magdaros armor. There definitely is usage. There's a lot of interesting and very fun mixed sets you can get out of using pieces of this. And if you don't have a Kiar weapon that has crit status on it already, then crit status is a very, very fun set bonus to play around with. So I'm going to give the Zorah Magdaros Gamma Armor, just because I like it so much, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think otherwise people would give it a lower score, but I think it deserves a little bit more recognition. Alright, Xeno'jiva Gamma Armor. There's a lot to say about this, so I'm going to go over it as quickly as I possibly can. First of all, it looks gorgeous. Having that little orange glow from Xeno'jiva's enraged state's really nice. I kind of wish that they made the glow a little bit more fierce, honestly, but this is cool the way it is. Now, as for skills, we got 2 Blight Resistance, 2 Crit Boost, I'm going from the list on the right, 2 Power Prolonger, 2 Flinch Free, and 1 Special Ammo Boost. If you are using a melee weapon, most of these skills do not help you. Blight Resistance, like I said before, kind of a throwaway skill. If you're using a melee weapon, Special Ammo Boost is not going to help you. Like I said before, Power Prolonger... Actually, was Power Prolonger in any of the other... Duh. Well, I'll go over it just in case. Power Prolonger lets you keep your long sword spirit gauge. Let's say your red spirit helps you keep it longer. Your blade mode, if it's powered up, the files, you'll keep it for longer. Same thing, charge blades, insect blades. I mean, it all says it right there. Dual blades, they'll all stay powered up for longer. It's not, truthfully, it's not a necessary skill. I think the only time it's really useful is on Switch Axe. I think having your blade powered up for longer is very, very powerful on Switch Axe. But for everything else, it's really not that necessary. It's just kind of nice to have. Flinch Free is weird. I've never really used this skill, but in my fight with Archtemper Nergigante, I pointed out how he has little swipes that will do damage through Temporal Mantle because they just kind of slightly knock you down, but they're not big enough to throw you, so the Temporal Mantle won't defend against those. Flinch Free lets you ignore those attacks in that you will take damage, but they won't stagger you. It's not, I wouldn't call it a defensive skill, because then you'll just get chipped down while you're running. But it can be helpful for not interrupting your combos. That's the best time to use Flinch Free. Crit Boost. No one needs introduction to Crit Boost. Your critical hits do more damage. What more is there to say? It is just the de facto offensive skill in this game right now for everything. But for Blade Masters, this isn't the best set ever. But for Gunners, this set is amazing. And the reason why is because of this. Razor Sharp Spare Shot. It has sharpness loss, which no one's going to say is bad. It's excellent for Blade Masters. But Spare Shot is so strong. The ability to keep your coatings in bows when you're shooting, the ability to keep high value ammo from the guns is really good. I mean, you can only hold so much dragon ammo, let's say, but Spare Shot will allow you to shoot like 6-7 shots of dragon ammo if you're lucky at the cost of 1. It is very strong. So Xeno'jiva Gamma Armor is actually, I'd say, probably some of the best pieces for gunning, because gunners don't really need as many skills. I'd say personally, gunners don't really need as many skills to be good as a Blade Master build would. So Special Ammo Boost is one of the big ones here because, like it says, it increases bowgun special ammo, so Wyvern Snipe and Wyvern Heart, and Dragon Piercer for bows. So having one level of that's nice, and then you can put in the Jewel to get the other level. So you would get that from the arms right here. And then you could grab Coil, Legs. These 3 give you Spare Shot, get a bunch of slots, and 2 levels of crit boost from these. I mean, once you have these 3, you can take these 2, grab whatever else you'd want, and you, right there, it won't be the most optimal gunning build ever, but it will be a very strong one. It's kind of gross how you can just take so little out of an entire set and be able to build so many different things Xeno'jiva Gamma Armor is really good. I've used it. I have a few mixed set where I use it for a light bowgun, and it's just a blast to use. Now, you can always use the Lunastra mixed weapons, Lunastra Xeno'jiva hybrid weapons, because those have spare shot built into them. But there's some guns that obviously don't have spare shot built into them, and you're going to need it. So when you take these, and you can also mix it back and forth with Xeno'jiva Alpha and Beta armor, because those also have, like, this has another level of special ammo boost, which you can get from the helmet. So you can mix the helmet with the arms from Gamma, and boom, right there, you have 2 levels special ammo boost. So I would overall, as a Blade Master, I would say the Xeno'jiva Gamma armor is like a 6. Because the crit boost is nice, but that's really all that you're going to use from it. But as a gunner, just from the sheer possibilities you can get out of it, Xeno'jiva Gamma armor is like a 9 or 10 out of 10 for a gunner. The amount of great mix sets you can get out of the pieces from Xeno'jiva armor, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, just mixing the 3 of those, it's ridiculous. Lunastra Gamma armor, I mean, it's very pretty. It shines as this really nice, like, fiery glow like Lunastra does when she's enraged. But anyway, let's go over the skills. This is turned out to be very long, so I'm going to speed up a bit. You get 4 levels earplugs, 3 agitator, 2 wide range, 2 evade window, 2 health boost, and 1 peak performance out of this set. You get a lot of skills out of this set. Now, again, if you're not an earplugs pure like I am, earplugs is a throwaway skill. Alright. Agitator. Also kind of a throwaway skill. I think it's underappreciated, but let's all just be honest here. There's not much you can do with it. Now, wide range is different. Wide range is always nice to have, obviously, when you're playing with other people. The 2 levels of wide range come out of the helmet here. Now, the Friendship Jewel is a level 1 jewel. So, you put on the wide range helmet, Empress Crown Gamma, 3 levels right there of the slots. That's level 5 wide range from 1 piece, which is really, really good. If you're doing a support build, you literally just need this 1 piece, and all the rest can be attack or defensive skills. You've got yourself a really good support build right there. Evade window, we talked about this with Kushala Daora. It's a really good skill, but only having 2 levels of it doesn't really help anybody. 2 levels of health boost. That's always nice to have. You get them from the coil, which is, interestingly enough, mixed with evade window. So, if you got your 3rd level of health boost from a slot in your weapon or something, let's say, you could actually start building the rest of the evade window pieces into whatever else you use in your set. If you decide to use the rest of the Lunastra set, then you could put your health boost gem into the Vambraces level 1 slot, and then you put 1 evade window jewel in the chest, 1 in the arms, 1 in the legs, and you have all evade window right there with level 3 health boost. So that's actually pretty good. And then peak performance, when your health is full, you gain attack. Unlike Vaal Hazak, there's nothing keeping your health maxed. So, I don't know, 1 level peak performance is pretty throwaway. Oh, there's a 2nd page, well, excuse me. You also get Tool Specialist and Evade Extender. Sorry. Evade Extender, like I said with Kushala Daora, by itself, it's not really that helpful. You need at least 2 or 3 levels for it to shine. Tool Specialist is never, I don't think it's ever really a skill that people put up front in their builds, but it's a really, really strong skill. It is very, very noticeable. Even just the level 1 of it is noticeable. So if you took some time and put some of those gems, I don't remember what they're called, but if you put the gems that increase Tool Specialist in here to get it to level 3, you can get a lot of utility out of the Lunastra Gamma pieces. I kind of glanced over it because if you don't like earplugs, then it's not helpful. But for people who do like earplugs, you can get the legs and the chest, throw in 1 jewel, and you have level 5 earplugs from 2 pieces of armor. It's excellent. And then you can get these other 3 pieces. I think I talked about this earlier. I made a mistake earlier, I know that much, but earplugs, Master's Touch, right here from this setup. I would overall give Lunastra Gamma for it's great in mixed sets, and it's great on its own. I would give it an 8 out of 10, and honestly, I would give it higher, but the Lunastra Gamma fight, the Lunastra Arch-Tempered fight, oh, it pisses me off. Oh, wow. Look at this. I didn't even talk about the set bonus, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. 2 pieces of Lunastra gives you stamina cap up. That'll bring your stamina from 150 to 200. And then you get Mind's Eye from the 4 pieces. Now, I never see people using Lunastra armor for Mind's Eye, but Mind's Eye is a good skill. It's helpful. I use Longsword for fun a lot, and Spirit Slash actually goes right through. It has natural Mind's Eye, but if you're running kind of a low sharpness weapon, like a Zorah Magdaros weapon, for instance, then Mind's Eye can be helpful. And I've never really played around with ballistics. I've never really seen it used for any of the ranged builds, but I'm sure it has its usages. But stamina cap up is actually very helpful for a lot of builds. So let me retract my former statement. I'm giving Lunastra Gamma a 9 out of 10. Solid. So that'll be the second highest score so far. Tied with Teostra, actually. Yeah. Huh. That's ironic. Lastly, we have Kulve Taroth Gamma armor. Now, whenever I talk about Arch-Tempered dragons, I'm never really thinking about Kulve Taroth, because although her fight changed, she didn't change the same way as Arch-Tempereds did until you Fury her. Once you get her in Fury mode, then you really can tell that she's changed. But to this day, I keep running into lobbies where people don't understand how to get her into Fury mode, so it's kind of a rare occurrence for me. Boo-hoo. Anyway, it has the same kind of white gold look that Arch-Tempered Kulve Taroth has, and it's really nice. Kulve Taroth armor is some of the prettiest armor in like Monster Hunter history. It's so nice. The only problem I have is on the male set, you have the big cloak like Kulve Taroth's tail. And while I think it's cool that it represents a part of the monster, it's kind of a bit clunky, but like all the other pieces, the helmet, the arms, the legs, they're all really nice. Now the set all in all gives you 4 levels handicraft, 3 agitator, 1 power prolonger, 1 stun resistance, 1 constitution, 1 crit boost, 1 weakness exploit, and heat guard. I said the same thing about Kushala Daora armor. While having handicraft in a set is nice, most people don't go out of their way to build it into their set from a piece. Usually they'll just get the charm and some jewels and call it a day. But if you are looking for a mixed set piece that gives you handicraft, I think grabbing Kulve Taroth Gamma armor is a better idea than grabbing the Kushala Daora armor. And the reason for that also is because of the elemental resistances, which is something I haven't really been mentioning. I understand that. But this video is already going on so long. But I'll mention it here specifically, because most monsters do fire damage, and Kulve Taroth armor gives you 4 positive fire damage per piece. So if you're trying to get handicraft into a build and you want it to be efficient defensively as well, I would grab the Kulve Taroth either chest or arms. They both give you the same slots, and then constitution or agitator, I mean, if you want either of them. Moving on, we're going to skip agitator. We've already talked about that. Already really talked about power prolonger. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It's understandable. Stun resistance is one that hasn't popped up yet. My little cousin, actually, is someone who will never use earplugs. He doesn't ever use earplugs in his builds, but he will always, no matter what, make sure that he has 3 levels of stun resistance in his builds. I don't think getting perma-stunned by monsters is a big problem, ever, but sometimes you can get stunned in the wrong time, and it can spell out the end of the quest for you or your teammates. So stun resistance is actually a very helpful defensive skill to get. If you can fit it into your build, I would usually recommend that you do so. Constitution is a skill that I mentioned before, in comparison to both, I think, Stamina Surge and Marathon Runner. Constitution's a really great skill when you have it at higher levels. I think it really starts to shine at level 3, where it reduces stamina usage by 30%, and it's a fixed stamina depletion, so things that take down your stamina in a chunk, diving, evading, and specifically jumping around with the bow, doing the hunter's dodge with the bow. Having full constitution and like dash juice on the bow, you feel like a Quincy from Bleach. You're just all over the place. It's amazing. Crit boost, we don't have to go over that. Weakness exploit, we don't have to go over that. Heat guard. This is interesting because this should be a garbage skill, but surprisingly it was not. So it nullifies heat damage and it comes on the legs. The reason why it was so good is because the damage you take from Arch-Tempered Xeno'jiva from his fire, his like laser-based attacks that scorch the ground, that's heat damage. So a lot of people in their anti-Arch-Tempered Xeno'jiva build used the legs from Kulve Taroth Gamma because they could completely nullify floor damage, and that's a big chunk of damage from that fight. That's where most of the hazard of that fight is. He turns the environment into a living hellscape, which is crazy. The cool thing about this set is, altogether, it's kind of messy. You got a lot of good skills in here, but they're all at low levels. But because of that, it makes it a very great set to pick from for mixed sets. This is really strong. 1 level of crit boost, 1 level weakness exploit, and a level 3 slot is very strong in a mixed set because you can introduce these really powerful skills into your set all at once. And you can increase either crit boost or weakness exploit using that level 3 slot. Another cool thing is they moved around a lot of the skills that were already in the Kulve Taroth set. They didn't really add anything. They just moved them around. All they really added was handicraft in exchange for free element. So if you take the helmet, which is power prolonger and stun resistance, the level 3 and 2 level 1 slots, and you mix it with Kulve Taroth alpha armor, which is somewhere up here, you can get yourself full stun resistance in 2 pieces of armor, which is nice. You can also take this and mix it with the Kulve Taroth coil gamma, and you will get yourself 3 levels of crit boost in 2 pieces. I mean, you can mix back and forth between alpha, beta, and gamma Kulve Taroth and get a really powerful set. So let's make one real quick. So let's use the Kulve Taroth Gamma helmet like we already started to. I will use the... Yeah, let's use the Kulve Taroth Alpha chest. Let's use the Kulve Taroth Alpha arms with the Kulve Taroth Gamma. Oh, I already have it equipped, so that'll work. And so these give wide range. So let's say we're fighting Xeno'jiva. So let's go with that. And this is our build right here. And that's absolutely no slots used. Kulve Taroth Gamma armor is very, very strong. I don't think it's as game-changing as Xeno'jiva Gamma armor is, but it does add to a lot of really great mix sets. And on its own, it is pretty good. So I'll give it... I think I'll also tie it with Teostra and Lunastra armor and give it a 9 out of 10. I think the only thing that really changed the face of the game was Xeno'jiva Gamma armor. I've seen so many powerful gunner builds come out of Xeno'jiva Gamma armor, and I know my explanation didn't really do much justice to it, but I think this is like a 10 out of 10 set of armor right here. I know this is kind of all over the place. I know this was very long, but unlike my other video, this was completely unscripted. This is just my raw thoughts on the table. I think that the Arch-Tempered system was great in what it introduced to us in terms of mixed sets and whatnot. Some of the fights were kind of lackluster. I think Vaal Hazak was really great. I think the Nergigante fight was really great. Xeno'jiva was awesome. When you actually do it, when you Fury Kulve Taroth, that's a really great experience. But it was also a really mixed bag. Some of those fights were not fun. Arch-Tempered Kirin, especially considering how it was the first one, left a really bad taste in my mouth. Arch-Tempered Kushala Daora was a nightmare. Arch-Tempered Lunastra really was super, super annoying. But all in all, I think it was a good system. And I really do like the way the gear was handled. I think the gear was handled in a very efficient way. with the Arch-Tempered sets. There's only a few throwaway sets, and noticeably those were the early ones. All the later sets were very, very usable. I think they kind of learned their lesson over time. There's still some people out there that will kind of bash, I think, on the Arch-Tempered sets for not being great enough, but you can only ask for so much, and a lot of people's expectations were tempered by Draken Armor. I mean, once Draken Armor came out, it really changed the game. It very much raised people's expectations and whatnot. So, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. If you didn't watch the whole video, but you watched a part of it, then I hope that my opinions were helpful, or at least interesting to people. And I will be back with some other nonsense some other time. This is Phookinada Blair. Thanks for watching.